Hey there, this is Women on the Brink. I'm your host, Chris Jeffrey, a registered acupuncturist and wellness advisor with a passion for helping women live happier and more balanced lives. When I'm away from work, I'm usually outside in nature, either walking the seawall or I'm hiking in the mountains. And like many of you, my life has been filled with moments of hardship, some that I thought I couldn't overcome and really left me questioning my own strength. But through these challenges, I discovered resilience, courage, and a renewed sense of purpose. So I'm here to share not just my journey, but the lessons I've learned, and to remind you that no matter what obstacles come your way, there's always a path forward. And just to let you know, this podcast is not prescriptive, it's an offering. So please take what resonates with you and leave the rest. Welcome to today's episode of Women on the Brink. Our guest today is Cindy Schulz. She's a seasoned clinical hypnotherapist with over a decade of experience, and she specializes in cognitive behavioral hypnotherapy, parts therapy, and past life regression. So in this episode, we're going to explore how hypnotherapy can help you tap into and reprogram your subconscious mind so you can break through barriers and create the life you truly want. Like, did you know that 95% of your life is governed by your subconscious mind? I mean, this is the place where all your memories, your habits, and beliefs are stored. And for real and lasting change, your conscious and subconscious minds need to be in sync. And so if you're feeling stuck in any area of your life, it might be because your subconscious is working against the changes you're trying to make. So I feel like this applies to most of us, in varying degrees. And so I really do feel that this episode is of real value to everyone. So I'd like to welcome Cindy Schulz to Women on the Brink. Welcome, Cindy.
Thank you, Chris, for having me.
Yeah. So I think what we should do is we should just dive in. And first of all, I just want to let the listeners know that you and I have known each other for a long, long time. And
Yes.
I've actually had the benefit of receiving hypnosis from you on several occasions. So why don't we break it down for our listeners? I mean, if 95% of our lives are ruled by our subconscious, what does that look like in day-to-day life?
So our subconscious mind controls every single thing we do in our lifetime. It creates our reality. It has all our beliefs, programs, emotions, and most of these are formed between the ages of 0 and 7 years old. So the subconscious mind really controls everything. And when your conscious mind and your subconscious mind aren't in alignment, your subconscious mind always wins. So young children don't have something called a critical mind. And what that does is it allows all the information like a funnel to come through and go right into their subconscious mind, both good things and bad. But as we get to the age of 7 and older, we form a critical mind. So what does the critical mind does? It determines what information gets dropped into the subconscious and what information gets tossed out through sleep or hypnosis. So it's very important that we dive into our subconscious mind when we have issues or problems or trauma inconsistencies. So the critical mind holds all the information before it's released into that subconscious. So to give it a little story, you have two people that go to a Millionaire Mind weekend. One is, let's call him Bob, and the other one is Joe. And Bob and Joe go to the Millionaire Mind weekend and they come home all excited. So for Bob, the information he learned on the Millionaire Mind is kept in the critical mind. And the critical mind decides, is this worthy of keeping or not? And it checks with the subconscious mind and checks if the beliefs are there. So it goes down and checks Bob's subconscious mind, and it said he was raised with belief of you can do anything, you can accomplish anything, money's easy to get. So it drops all that millionaire mind information into subconscious, and a year later, he's a millionaire. Now, the other poor guy, he has his critical mind that checks on the information. And when he checks on the information of the subconscious, he finds out that his parents said money don't grow on trees, money's hard to come by. So what the critical mind does is it kicks all that information out because it's not held in beliefs in the subconscious mind. So a year later, he's stuck exactly where he was.
Yeah, that explains why so many of us do get stuck, right? Because we're holding on to these old narratives, these beliefs that we developed during childhood from our families, from our teachers, or even the media, right?
Yes, 100%. So that's why it's so important that we go in and we reprogram the subconscious mind.
So that brings us to like really how does hypnotherapy do that? How does it reprogram the mind?
So we go in and we find out when those beliefs happen and how they're preventing us. And it's usually through an emotional place. So when I have you in hypnosis, I take you back to the very first time that belief started. And it's usually in childhood. Believe it or not, the subconscious mind is there to protect us. So
Mhm.
at that time, it was protecting that young person against whatever they were up against. But then all of a sudden, you're an adult and you don't need the same protection. So we go back into that first time it happened, the root cause, and we rewrite it. And it usually means giving people back their power, their voice, and their control. And once we do that, it releases all the negative emotions that were trapped in that memory. So you no longer have that same emotional effect on you any longer.
Wow, I love this. So you said it gives you back your power, your voice, and control.
Yeah.
And I think, you know what? I mean, we've been talking a lot about this topic on Women on the Brink, and even in my clinic as an acupuncturist. The one thing I hear over and over again from women is how they had to give up their power or their voice, right?
Yes.
And it's been repressed. So really, what hypnotherapy is doing then is bringing that back,
Yes.
bringing that control back to us. I love it.
Yes.
So it's a
Yes.
really powerful tool that I would say, most people should at least give it a try, right?
Absolutely. They have
So
nothing to lose.
yeah. And how quickly do people typically see results from hypnotherapy if they're going in and releasing these negative emotions and stuff?
Anywhere between 3 and 6 sessions. If you have a very big trauma, it's going to be more like 6. But a lot of things can be straightened out in 2 or 3 sessions. We don't know until we open up that subconscious mind and ask the right questions.
Yeah.
Unlike other therapies, it's not weeks after weeks after weeks, years after years after years.
So it can be as few as a couple of sessions, but sometimes it can take longer if those beliefs are deeply ingrained in us, right?
Yes, yes.
Mhm. And I mean, is everybody able to get into hypnosis? Because I've heard that for some people it's more difficult. The left brain wants to take over and be in control still.
Yes. So the statistics are 95% of people can be hypnotized. Everybody goes in and out of hypnosis all day long. When we wake up in the morning, we go through it's the theta, which is the hypnosis frequency. They go through theta before they're wide awake. During the day, they go through that same theta frequency. So when you read a book, when you watch TV, when you watch a good movie, you're in theta, you're in the hypnotic state.
Oh,
And,
interesting.
and also, you're in theta when you drive your car.
I
So
was going to
who's driving
say,
your car? Your conscious mind or your subconscious mind? It's your subconscious mind.
so is that also the state we're in when we're like daydreaming?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
And so that's why almost everybody can be hypnotized. It's a matter of are they willing to be hypnotized?
Right. Yeah.
Because it's a natural state that happens all day long.
Right. So the idea is really then not to overthink the process.
Yes.
Hmm.
And it's important. The most important thing is to trust your hypnotherapist. If you can't form trust early on, then people will not go into hypnosis. But that's that willingness piece again.
Yeah. So it's really finding the right hypnotherapist for you where you make that connection.
100%. Yes. That's so
Yeah.
important is to make the connection with your hypnotherapist.
I remember I'm just going to share a little story with the listeners about one of my experiences with hypnotherapy with you. And I think you took me back. We were looking at, I'm not even really sure what we were examining, probably low self-esteem or low self-worth or something. And we were trying to figure out, okay, so where did that originate? And we were going back. You took me into regression and you asked me, you go, where are you? And I said, I'm really not sure. I'm in this very dark place. And you said, can you describe it? And I said, well, there's nothing really here. It's just this big darkness, but I can hear voices. And we went in a little further and you asked me to describe the voices. And I said, I think it's my mom. Like there's not even like something she's saying. It's more like a feeling. And I'm getting this feeling that I'm not loved or I'm not wanted. And we discovered that I was actually in the womb and I was sensing maybe it wasn't as harsh as not being loved, but there was some ambiguity with regard to my mom about the experience of being pregnant with me. And I'm the eldest child. So this would have been my mom's first pregnancy. And so we came out of that and I'm like, wow, that was a little bit dark and, but very powerful. Like I'd never thought about this before. So I actually went to my mom and I asked her, I said, did you have, ambiguity around your pregnancy with me? And she really thought about that. And she answered me really honestly. And she said, you know what? What I remember is you were a wanted child, but your dad did not find me attractive as a pregnant woman. And so I had all of these really mixed feelings about my body and about not feeling good about myself as a pregnant woman. So that was really mind blowing for me. I don't know if you remember that experience
I
or
do
not.
remember that. Yes.
But that had a huge impact on my life. And the very fact that my mom had the courage to come forward and say, actually, what you experienced really did happen. And the fact that I actually went back into the womb, into that state as, this unborn baby and had these feelings, was really pivotal for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do believe in hypnotherapy and what a great tool it is. So I guess my next question would be like, are there any kind of like daily practices or exercises that people can do to reinforce the effects of hypnotherapy or help them prepare for a hypnotherapy session?
You could listen to a self-hypnosis tape to get you understanding what it's going to feel like. But most of my clients don't do that ahead of time. They just come and they experience a full relaxation the first session, and then we get into whatever issues they've come from.
I was just going to say, like, in your experience, is it easier for people who maybe do have a regular meditation practice? Do you find that it's easier for them to get into hypnotherapy?
Yes. Yes, 100%. Because meditation and hypnosis are the same frequency. The only difference is your intention. So if you practice meditation, it's about clearing your mind, finding that sense of calm. That's the same frequency we use for hypnosis, where self-hypnosis is to focus on what you want to change in your life. So people that come that have done meditation typically go right into a deep state of hypnosis. But further to your question, affirmations are great and they're more powerful done in the subconscious state. So in self-hypnosis, your affirmations are going to hit home much stronger than if you do it on the conscious level. Doesn't mean you can't do it on the conscious level, but self-hypnosis, affirmations are two things you can do on a regular basis.
So let's go back to the example of the two guys who go to this money seminar for the weekend. So what would be an affirmation then that they could do to turn that narrative around regarding money?
Oh, they could do something as easy as money's easy to come by with the right tools. I can access anything I want. And what we do with the one fellow is we go back and we rewrite that old learning from his parents that money's hard to come by. And we'd rewrite it into money's not hard to come by.
Right. I have access to money easily. Money comes easily to me.
Yeah.
And we do that while we're in the state of hypnosis.
Yes, because that has a faster way of changing your subconscious mind. If you do it in the conscious state, you have to try twice as hard to get that change to happen in the subconscious mind, to get that information through that critical mind. In hypnosis, you're bypassing that critical mind and you're talking directly to the subconscious mind.
Interesting. So I know that a lot of people have some very common misconceptions about hypnotherapy. Like, it got a bad rap there for a while when, people used to go to hypnotherapist sessions and a hypnotherapist would tell the audience to quack like a duck. And so everybody started quacking like ducks. What are some of the common misconceptions that people still have today?
Well, that's definitely one of them. And just to let you know, the people that get up there and quack like ducks want to quack like ducks. The people that are more quiet and laid back would never get up on stage because they know what's going to happen. But I think one of the biggest things is someone can be hypnotized against their will. And we know that's not true because you have to have consent from your client and their permission before you can even put them in hypnosis. So before every session, I don't care whether it's your first session or your 20th session, I always say to the person, do I have permission to hypnotize you? And they say yes. So that's a big thing, is can you be hypnotized against your will? The second one is the hypnotherapist in control? And the answer is no. Your conscious mind is always there. And you will not change your core beliefs by anything the hypnotherapist will say. So you're not unconscious, you're not asleep, you do not lose control. So you hear everything that the therapist says for suggestions, but you only act and decide on the ones that you want. The hypnotherapist cannot change core values at all in a person.
Oh, interesting. Because that's, I think, key is a lot of people do think that they are giving up their control, and that prevents them from maybe trying it, especially people who have suffered from like deep trauma.
Yes.
And they're afraid that they're handing that control over to somebody. That seems very, very intimidating and scary, right?
Yes. So just because you've opened the subconscious mind, your conscious mind is always there. It's just taken a back seat and it's being quiet.
Right.
At any moment, if as a hypnotherapist I said something that was truly against someone's core beliefs or values, they could open their eyes, walk out my door, and never come back. So that's how much control you have during the session. It's not something that once you're under, you don't remember anything that happens. You remember everything that's said and happens in the session.
Right. We know that hypnotherapy can help a variety of different conditions, everything from fears, like fear of flying, or like what are some of the big fears that you come up again amongst clients?
Fear of flying is a big one, for
Like
sure.
what about if somebody has been in a car accident and they
100%.
have that fear of getting behind the wheel again?
Yes. And even things like fear of public speaking.
Mm.
That's another big one that people come to me for. Or some sort of not
You and I
moving
should do a
forward.
couple sessions on that.
Yes. Not moving forward in their business. So what are they afraid of? There's
Ah,
are they afraid of success or afraid of failure? And you say, well, why would they be afraid of success? But many people are.
that's so true. So true. So, what advice would you give to somebody who, let's say, is a bit skeptical? They're curious about hypnotherapy, they're still a little bit skeptical. Is there any advice you have?
Well, I'd say be curious.
Yeah.
Be skeptical about hypnotherapy. Just understanding to have an open mind, to educate yourself about the process, the person you're going to for hypnotherapy. And you may find that hypnotherapy offers valuable tools for both personal growth and healing. So I love that. Let's be curious.
Let's be curious. Yeah. And is there a particular designation that people should be looking for when they're choosing a hypnotherapist?
I think they could look at their education, look at some of their references. Many hypnotherapists have certain practices that they do, like maybe they only work with fear, maybe they only work with one thing, but others are open to a wider spectrum. So I would check and see what tools they can provide for you.
Yeah, exactly. So, how can listeners learn more about your work or even to book a session with you?
They can go to innerclarity.ca, send a form to book an appointment.
Excellent. Okay, so I'll put that in the show notes. So, as we wrap up today's session of Women on the Brink, I really do hope that Cindy's insights have shown you just how powerful your subconscious mind truly is. Change isn't just about willpower, it's really about aligning your deeper beliefs with the life that you want to create and getting out of those old narratives, those old stories that we tell ourselves. So, whether you're feeling stuck or battling with self doubt or trying to break those old patterns, I think hypnotherapy can really offer a path to a real and lasting transformation. I know it definitely has made a difference for me. So, Cindy, I really want to thank you so much for being here on Women on the Brink.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Yeah. And thank you, listeners, for joining us today. Remember, you have the power to rewrite your story from the inside out. So until next time, take care and keep growing. Thanks for joining. And I want you to know that this isn't just a podcast, this is a movement. So share this information with your friends and let's go, ladies.